is a totally unexpected, unpredictable adventure. There are people who love adventure. It is these I call, and I tell them, I invite you to the great adventure. If this interests you, well, embark. What is awaiting tomorrow, I couldn't say. You must leave behind all you have foreseen, all you have planned, all you have built up, and start walking into the unknown, come what may.
Okay, good morning, happy birthday, this is Max.
Unifying consciousness in the middle.
Mark Tully, Chairman of the International Advisory Council, Mr. Mark Lauskisi, and Mr. Dudu Dien.
Whenever you come to Oroville, you're struck by the amount of talent, I think is the right word, that is in Oroville, the amazing things which are happening here.
If you understand the true meaning of education is to bring forth from within, that's what the Latin word means, is to bring it out from within what is there already, this being that is all-knowing, that is capable of the harmony and the sweetness and the mutuality that Oroville needs. It exists in the profound core of the being, but to find it, one has to refine, polish, soften, make smooth, educate every part of our being. So whether it's the body, whether it's the life spirit and the emotions, whether it's the mentality, the process of Oroville is about self-education.
having some contribution, but
And I think India does need to look at this new yoga that Sri Aurobindo is proposing. Because up till Sri Aurobindo, all the yogas were all about leaving life as it is. This beautiful universe, just to abandon it, you can.
The aim of Sri Aurobindo's yoga is the manifestation of divine life on earth.
And you went, hey, look, I go in there. And maybe some people have already been here for 1 year. Some people have been here for, I don't know. So let's
pull it off the edge.
ஆகியோர் கலந்து கொள்ளக்கூடிய ஒரு
From the beginning of our adventure, we wanted to be self-supporting in food needs. Of course, there was no question of our using pesticide or any type of fertilizer. Our research is constantly oriented towards organic.
And this one, laddu, and then this is coconut.
as Sri Aurobindo pointed out, the need of the race is a major transition from mind to spirituality. And this is made possible by the working of a new consciousness force, a force which is shaking everything up and preparing it for change. Yet, what is needed to contact this force is not more technology, more ingenuity, but the simplicity, the courage to open up to something else.
This retreat has been a tremendous success. It's not only these 2 days. The retreat has been the culmination of a process. So far, if I'm asked what is the crowning achievement of Auroville, I would say construction of that magnificent Mahatma. That was really a high point, and that was done entirely by the Aurovillians with their own donations, their own work. It was the most extraordinary and astounding effort. But then that is the sort of way you've got to recapture that energy to build the city.
I was resigned, and the world seemed as if freeze-framed for eternity. Solitary, I simply strove to survive, up to the day when... But that's where our story begins.
Auroville is inaugurated on February 28, 1968. 124 nations are represented, and the world is on the move.
Sponsored by UNESCO, on a suggestion by India, Auroville is conceived as a bridge between the past and the future. When complete, it will be a city of 50,000 people devoted to the proposition that truth is manifest and realizable.
Auroville belongs to nobody in particular. Auroville belongs to humanity as a whole. But to live in Auroville, one must be the willing servitor of the divine consciousness.
The charter was written by the founder of Auroville, a remarkable woman, French-born Mira Alfassa, also known as the Mother. She launched the project and guided its beginning until her passing in 1973. She designated a lone banyan tree as the geographical center of the city to be. So Auroville began with the dream of a city like a galaxy, a single tree, a few handfuls of earth, and a charter. After the crowd had gone, a small band of pioneers was left with these ideals and symbols and 2,000 acres of barren land.
Naturally, the people who are applying
to stay in Auroville or to work for Auroville are of different temperaments and represent a large variety of consciousness. Some see clearly in Auroville an opportunity to perfect their special vocation. Some are applying because they see in Auroville an opportunity to work for human unity, working out a new way of life. Some are applying because Auroville answers to their spirit of adventure, spirit of finding something new, a field of expressing something new.
Moreover, Auroville is the next step after the ashram for trying to put into practice the teachings of Sri Aurobindo. That's quite a link in the spirit.
Inspired by the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo and sustained by an immense force, the mother set a small group of Aurovillians to work.
When the first Aurovillians came, there was nothing. I mean, quite literally nothing. I mean, your eye would carry you as far as it could see. It progressed from that we had to make a way that we could live here. So we began to realize the necessity of forestation and the green work in general.
In each monsoon, torrents of water would be unleashed, causing untold havoc and damage, carrying away everything in their rush, scarring the earth with deep canyons, dragging all hope of vegetation into the sea. We had to tame this water at all costs. The monsoon could sometimes be very wild. We decided to retain the water higher up on the plateau.
Along with the erosion control went massive afforestation. Over 1 million trees were raised in Auroville nurseries and planted. If you realize that for each tree, a large hole has to be dug in the hard red laterite soil, then composted and refilled, and that water usually has to be transported by bullock cart, you can begin to imagine how much energy has gone into transforming scenes that once looked like this into the green forests of today.
In 1965, the mother invited Roger Anger, a French architect, to design the township. Mother began by making a few rough drawings indicating 4 zones and their orientation. In 1968, Roger returned with the so-called Galaxy model. At the inauguration of Auroville, the model was presented to the world.
Il n'y aura pas de loi d'Auroville et il n'y aura surtout pas de prison, surtout pas de police. C'est non seulement un espoir, mais c'est une nécessité, sans quoi l'expérience d'Auroville ne voudrait rien dire. Le fait de vouloir une organisation qui soit basée sur un changement de conscience dans l'homme implique nécessairement que toutes les vieilles habitudes qui sont dans nos cités, dans nos traditions, disparaissent. Autrement, à quoi servirait de faire une cité expérimentale où doit se définir d'autres critères de vie, d'autres critères de rapport entre les hommes? Essentiel que ça soit construit au niveau de l'expérience individuelle. On pourrait situer donc Auroville à l'inverse de la démarche traditionnelle de l'urbanisme contemporain. Dans nos conceptions urbaines, on fait une ville au niveau du papier, au niveau de la conception, la plus intelligente soit-elle, et puis on vient demander à des gens de l'habiter. Là, la démarche est inversée. Des gens vivent une expérience, et c'est à partir de cette expérience que vont s'établir, se créer leurs conditions, leur environnement, leur cadre de vie.
Auroville ne sera jamais fini, alors?
Peut-être pas. Mais ça n'a aucune espèce d'importance. Ce qui est important, c'est pas de construire une ville, c'est de construire, encore une fois, des hommes nouveaux. À partir de là, quel est le délai, quel est le temps qu'il faudra? Seul, peut-être, l'avenir va nous l'apprendre, j'espère rapidement.
Oui, autrement dit, Auroville et les hommes nouveaux s'élaborent ensemble.
Sans doute.
Besides its international work, the Oroville project naturally involves the indigenous population. Oroville offers to the local Indian villagers the opportunity to raise their standard of living by the provision of work opportunities and education for their children. It also offers the opportunity to join the international community of Oroville and participate in the realization of its ideal of human unity. The school building, which opened in 1971, received from the mother the name Last School. This name expresses the attempt to create all Oroville as an open, dynamic, educational center in which each person will be at once a teacher and learner in the art of life, living together in an evolutionary community.
The center of the future city would be the Matri Mandir, the shrine of the Universal Mother, a place for concentration and for developing oneself a new consciousness. The Matri Mandir will be the soul of Oroville, said the mother in 1970, and the sooner it is there, the better it will be for everybody, especially for the Orovillians. The mother chose Roger Anger as chief architect. The mother's vision concerned mainly the interior of the inner chamber and the inner skin. For the rest of the structure, she relied on the chief architect's proposals, but insisted on daily reports and took final decisions. In her vision, the chamber will be a kind of hall with 12 facets, 12 columns, and in the center of the floor, her symbol, and on it, the 4 symbols of Sri Aurobindo joined together in a square holding a globe of some transparent substance. The ray of sun will strike this globe. There would be an opening for the ray to enter. No windows, no pictures, no flowers, no religion. The hall would be air-conditioned, and on the floor a soft carpet would cover everything except the center. After the mother's passing in November 1973, the Sri Aurobindo Society, with its considerable influence, attempted to assert its control over Oroville. From the beginning on, all of Oroville's finances and assets were being channeled through the Sri Aurobindo Society. In 1975, some Orovillians did register a separate trust, the Oroville Society, in an attempt to create an independent legal body for Oroville, which could receive funds independently from the SAS and offer opportunity to develop a new internal organization for Oroville. In retaliation, the Society stopped all financial assistance to Orovillians. With the help of numerous influential friends within India and the Oroville centers abroad, funds poured into the newly founded Portus Fund in 1976, so they could continue to provide food supplies, but there was little money for development and necessary services. The residents appealed to Indira Gandhi, then Prime Minister of India, to intervene. On the 12th of November 1980, Indira Gandhi's government passed the Oroville Emergency Provision Act and temporarily took over the management of Oroville. The Society challenged the government's action in the Supreme Court of India. In 1988, the Oroville Foundation Act was passed by the Indian Parliament. India has welcomed this concept of an international city whose lands and assets belong to nobody in particular. If Oroville is not yet the city that was planned in the beginning, it is already a micro-city with most of the activities a human society implies.
Sayer was founded on the 28th of February 1984 SAIER is the Sri Aurobindo International Institute of Educational Research. It was set up to act as an umbrella under which all the educational research activities of Auroville could be coordinated and supported. It receives funding for this purpose from India's Ministry of Education and from the Foundation for World Education, Stichting de SAIER, and various units and individuals.
This center has been functioning since 1971. It started in a simple hut. Then later by 73 the building was ready. And slowly over the years the attendance has been going up to the extent where earlier it was about 6,000. Now it is in the range of 30,000. And it comes roughly to about 100 patients a day.
Jacques was a dentist in France, and this is still his main work in Auroville, which he offers to villagers and Aurovillians. Local women are given short-term intensive training which allows them to give basic treatment and educate villagers about nutrition, hygiene, and preventative health care.
3 times a week, Jackie drives the 10 kilometers to Pondicherry town to purchase food and essentials for the community. The Auroville farms do grow some vegetables, grains and fruits in sufficient quantities to supply the community and even sell surplus on outside markets. But not everything can grow on Auroville's hard soil, and part of the food has to be bought in Pondicherry. The Auroville bullock cart now begins its slow journey back to Auroville. It will take 2 hours to Rotus, meaning for all, the service that handles the distribution of food and basic necessities. The service has gone through various financial arrangements over the years, responding to the changing needs of the community in its ongoing search for new forms. Portus went from one big collective pot to serve everybody to each on his own account with individual financial responsibility.
The mother envisioned industry and commerce to be an integral part of life in Auroville and a means of financially sustaining the economy of Auroville's community. She designated one of Auroville's 4 zones as the industrial zone and gave it the name Auroshilpam. These commercial units, as they are called, either provide basic material necessities for the residents of the community or generate income for the general maintenance of the township, while also sponsoring other projects for the community and in the neighboring villages. The leather cooperative in Isayambalam was started by Bhavana.
And they do all the purchasing, all the designing, all the quality control. They are really a cooperative society.
Auroville's particular speciality here is its boundless creativity and energy.
entry group because the entry group is also so much more.
Oroville is a self-governing body. Specific groups of people, usually appointed by the community, take care of administration, internal coordination, relations with the outside, and admissions. When a question arises that affects the whole community, a general meeting is called where every Orovillian is free to participate.
And we should not forget it is a construction site. You hear people saying, I'm settling down in Oroville. I've made it, I've saved my money and I'm settling down. Not settling down, we are building the city. And it is a construction site. I mean, it is supposed to be building something. Not where you settle and then you have these councils to make the life comfortable and avoid clashes and
Orovillians are involved in a wide range of works. Some had previous training, but the majority learned what they do right in Oroville. Every adult Orovillian is expected to work for the community. This can mean joining an existing work group or creating something new. Oroville is a city in the making, and there is room for almost every field of expression. What is very important to the Orovillians is that they are free to choose their work and free to change it.
What is this I hear about your journal, Jan?
Je ne pense pas qu'il soit nécessaire d'en parler davantage.
I like the Oroville Review much better.
But you're right. We have had many times the idea of closing the whole lot. And we're still having the idea of closing the whole lot, or at least getting out of it.
Individuals from very diverse backgrounds are here registered as members of Oroville at the moment. Also, we're in close daily touch with a much larger population who were here on the spot to begin with. And while perhaps almost half of these 1,000 people, they come from the developed West, you know, the setting that they came into is rural South India. So that's already a meeting of extremes. And these people come from all levels of society and different sets of standards and so on. So from the very early days, one of the major aspects of the work here has been to build up communication. Mother has defined that part of the aim of Oroville, you know, when she was first asked in the very early days, 1965, to define the aims of Oroville. Then she's written an effective human unity.
And I'm sure the guiding force for most of the people here, if not all of them, is Mother and Sri Aurobindo. But within those guidelines, there's a lot of freedom. There's an incredible amount of freedom to do whatever you would like and to do it how you like. And so that's why you have so many people doing so many different things.
For me, Oroville is not a Tamil village. Oroville cannot be a Western city. It must be a meeting place of all the cultures of the world, and it's a place of an international, rather universal expression.
And definitely people here have moved away from narrow kind of mental formulations. They've tried to move away from all the isms of the West, you know, democracy, communism, or they're trying to move beyond that at least, even though we sometimes fall back. The planned city is divided into 4 zones: residential, cultural, industrial, international, with half the area containing parks and gardens. Together with the surrounding green belt, it will cover an area of 6,063 acres. Less than half of this is presently owned and managed by Oroville.
This is the Revelation Sanctuary. It was a complete desert. The soil was like brick, red soil, totally eroded, no humus, no topsoil. We started to plant the pioneer forest, and it produces a large amount of biomass, so it helps to recreate the humus. And 5 years later, we started to have a canopy, and then we could introduce the secondary species, which are only the indigenous species. You cannot reforest completely the whole planet, so you have to create sanctuaries, green reserve, and then it's the birds between these sanctuaries that will carry the seeds in between the sanctuaries.
Many afforestation projects continue here in Oroville's bioregion with an emphasis on indigenous species. Today, Oroville's afforestation work is nationally and internationally acclaimed as a model for successful restoration of the earth. Oroville is part of a research network conducting botanical studies in collaboration with botanists and village doctors. Medicinal plants are identified which are currently endangered. The seed of these rare plants are collected and specimens grown to be planted in their natural habitat and preserved for future generations in Oroville's gene banks.
Yeah, working particularly with the traditional healers. We work with them, we bring them together to exchange ideas, remedies, plans for the future. And at the same time, we have programs of income generation with the farmers growing medicinal plants in field situations.
Today, large areas of the greenbelt under Oroville's protection are reforested. One of the many benefits are rejuvenation of carpentry work in the surrounding villages and an abundant supply of kindling wood for cooking. The lifestyle of many Orovillians has become less simple, more conspicuous, reflecting changes in India itself. Contradictory? Yes, for the feature of Oroville from its very beginnings has been freedom for expression of diversity, a refusal to identify itself with one exclusive viewpoint, with only one form of development and self-expression, a refusal to close itself off from the world. In this sense, Oroville contains all the contradictions, the hopes, and the insanities of modern existence.
Although Oroville received international recognition and was endorsed by UNESCO, the big funding needed for the construction of the city itself has only trickled in. And so, over the years, many individuals eager to work for Oroville's ideals have used their own resources to construct their living space. The one thing these houses share is that they don't belong to their occupants. Upon joining Oroville, a person recognizes in writing that whatever assets he creates belongs to Oroville, and should he leave for good, decisions regarding what will happen with the house will rest with the community. Meanwhile, the technology has become more sophisticated. The all-steel AV55 windmill, manufactured in an Oroville workshop, has been erected in different parts of India. House construction now favors stabilized earth blocks and ferro cement over high-maintenance wood and thatch. These blocks enabled us to construct a variety of buildings in Oroville, individual dwellings as well as collective public buildings, and the kindergarten for the young toddlers.
In 1973, the Dalai Lama comes to support us in our undertaking. On a second visit to Oroville in 1993, the Dalai Lama laid the first stone of the Tibetan pavilion. He also learned about different areas of research and witnessed a demonstration on how compressed earth bricks are made. From the beginning of the early 70s, we have been interested in ferrocement techniques. This material, invented in the 19th century by a French architect, has been left somewhere by the wayside in Europe.
So what we try to do is a combination of everything. That means ferrocement technology, earth construction, rainwater harvesting, wastewater recycling, solar energy, solar thermal applications. So we try to put the whole package together, especially in public buildings.
You have a truly effective system which treats the wastewater. And this is actually what Oroville has been doing since the last 20 years. It has been trying to put together systems which are efficient, which are natural, durable, and cost-effective.
The Government of India came up with a program, and in '94 we installed the first pumps in Oroville, and that's how we went to Punjab to install solar pumps over there. In '97 installed the solar power plant in Matri Mandir. That time it was one of the biggest plants in the country. This is a 36 kilowatt power plant, feeds at the moment power for all the lighting requirements in the evening, and whatever leftover power is there, it is fed to some pumps and power requirements during the daytime to the Matri Mandir site.
But prior to reaching this point, we had used solar energy in a very pragmatic way, particularly for cooking with the archaic solar cooker, which was sufficient to cook rice. There was also the solar sterilizer, and more recently the solar water heater. In the late 70s, the idea took hold of experimenting with solar concentrators. In 1995, the adventure for the conception of a community solar kitchen with the integration of a solar bowl started.
The idea was to build a canteen for all Oroville, and we soon found out that the best way to cook was to use steam. We wanted to cook for 1,000 people basically, and that this can easily be produced by the sun. So we immediately thought of creating a solar concentrator. According to our calculations, we were told that to cook 1,000 lunches and 1,000 dinners, we would need about 600 kilos of steam per day. We have innovated in different ways. The first thing is that we have been using prefabricated ferrocement elements to make the spherical structure. If we had made it with any other material, it would have been very costly, and the system that we have used is very, very cheap. That is the first innovation. The second innovation we did was that we have not used any curved mirrors, which are very costly and very difficult to cut. Instead, we are using ordinary bathroom mirrors, which we have laminated with a plain glass at the back to make sure that they don't get damaged by oxidation. There are 11,000 mirrors, so this is definitely a very good solution, and which provides us a focus which is absolutely sharp enough.
At the center of Oroville stands the Matri Mandir, the living symbol of that force, a place for individual concentration, for the discovery of one's unique center, and through this, for the deeper realization of community. Matri Mandir is simultaneously the expression of many of the contradictions of Oroville, but also of their resolution. Covered in gold leaf and already costing considerable sums of money, generations of Orovillians invested their energy in helping materialize this vision of the mother, the founder of Oroville. A vision of a pure white chamber, bare of ornamentation, with a crystal sphere at its center, upon which a beam of sunlight continuously shines down, a symbol of the individual soul and the pouring down of the transformative force. Ultimately, it is the attempt to contact that force which is the raison d'être, the ultimate sustaining principle of Oroville. All other activities are but the means through which that force can be contacted, through which it can become operational. Oroville, a city in search of its soul, of a sustainable future. Searching, searching, searching.